to the recording and start. Greetings to everybody. I'm happy to welcome you to Research for Policy Roundtable Conversations, supported by Czech UNDP Partnership for SDGs at the Istanbul Regional Hub. My name is Khakhishvili, and together with my colleague Jona Shager, I've been working on the roundtable to bring academic research and public and private sectors together in the forum of a semi-formal conversation. Our previous conversations have ranged from waste management to migration and research, alternative data research and behavioral research into gender-based violence and HIV testing, for example, in the country. And this time, I'm very happy to present the discussion on UNDP Czech Partnership on protected areas in Georgia. I'm very happy to have on board Ms. Jana Zelingerova, who is heading the Czech development in Georgia, who newly arrived to Georgia, and I'm very happy that one of the first meetings you're opening is ours. So Jana, over to you for the introductory remarks.
Thank you very much, Katuna. Good afternoon to everyone. It's a great pleasure for me actually to open this great forum. I think it's a brilliant idea to bring together all potential and interested parties from different sectors. And I can see now that we are almost 35, which is great for Friday afternoon before the holidays for many of us. So congratulations to that. And I think that rings the bell and resonates the theme and the topic with many of us, which is great. So again, it's my pleasure to greet you on behalf of the Czech Embassy in Tbilisi. And thank you very much to Czech UNDP Partnership Program for organizing this roundtable. As it was already mentioned, there were already several rounds of this discussion forum held this year, always with different focus or topic. And this time we will focus on sustainable tourism and protected areas in Georgia, which is a topic that is very close to my heart. Personally, and topic that is in perfect synergy with Czech bilateral development cooperation in Georgia. And it also perfectly coincides with International Mountain Day that we celebrated, I think, a week ago. Czech development activities that I mentioned already in Georgia are not limited only to the support of sustainable tourism as such. I would like to mention one program that we have been implementing here since 2018, and it's a complex 5-year program on sustainable development of Irakli protected landscape. As probably all of you know, protected areas or national parks are well established and managed from a national level here in Georgia, whereas protected landscape where not only protection of nature, but also culture, heritage, and better socioeconomic conditions for local inhabitants is targeted, is managed from local level. And this category of protected areas is yet to be developed in Georgia, and that's why we are here as the Czech Development Corporation. So we are targeting with our program not only management of protected landscape and forestry, but also we try to help to attract tourism in a sustainable way, but also we try to improve social and economic conditions for people living in that protected area. For instance, by financial support of businesses and startups, and also improved health and social care services. So yes, you can imagine this require a lot of substantial efforts on many levels, and of course good cooperation, especially with local and national stakeholders. And I'd like to thank on this place to all the stakeholders, because the program works very well so far, and I really do hope that we will achieve the expected outcomes and results in 2 years' time. One thing to mention here, it's not the program, as it is very complex. It is also funded by 1/3 by ADA, Austrian Development Agency, and 2/3 by Czech Development Agency. We also have a small portion of additional funding from, not small, they would be offended, but smaller portion by the Slovak Development Agency. And of course, we have devoted cooperation by relevant local stakeholders, especially MEPA and municipality of Dušety, where the management of this protected landscape is situated. And I'm happy that we have here also my colleagues, Wojciech Kubec, who is the program coordinator, and also Michal Hošek, sorry, Michal, that will share with us details about this program. So maybe you might ask how this great program matches with the Czech UNDP Partnership program. Czech expertise, and I have just mentioned two great experts on the Czech side that are the backbones of the program. So these Czech experts and Czech expertise in general is frequently sought, and I assume also very much appreciated by local and international partners, and therefore this expertise is used also through the Czech UNDP Partnership program. For instance, for a creation of some strategic documents on a national level. One of the examples of this intensive cooperation are the activities of the recognized Czech biodiversity expert that I have already mentioned, Michal Hošek, that will tell us more about it in a few seconds. So I look forward to the interesting presentations and discussion on the topic of protected area today. And I think that I also mentioned several times that this is a topic that is close to the heart of all of us, I suppose, but it is also on the priority list of Georgia that has committed to increase the area under formal protection to 20%, if I'm not mistaken, compared to current 8% in the following years. So this is an engagement, and we are happy to assist as the Czech Development Corporation. So thank you very much for giving me a chance to open this forum today. It's a pleasure and honor to me, and I'm very much looking forward to the fruitful discussion today. Thank you. Over to you, Khatuna.
Thank you so very much, Jana. Indeed, it's a multi-party activity, both in terms of the actors as well as the funders. The agenda will follow the logic also described by you. We will start with the general overview of the protected areas in Georgia. Then we will move into the specific discussion on the specificities of presentation, or rather specificities of protected landscapes in Georgia. And the panel discussion then will be devoted to different aspects of managing protected landscapes. So I'm very happy to have on board today Tamar Khakhishvili, who's the Deputy Head of Agency of Protected Areas of Georgia. Tamar comes with extensive background in public sector of Georgia. She's an economist by background and just received PhD degree and pursues academic work. Prior to this, had a very successful career at the Tbilisi City Hall as an economist, and lately works in the I'm sorry, I have to correct myself, Tamar Khakhishvili, sorry, Tamar. The latest, this is 2017, is working in the Agency for Protected Areas. Tamar, thank you for your time, and over to you.
Thank you, Khatuna, for nice introduction of me. I'm pleased to have the possibility to participate in this very interesting meeting. I saw the background and the past of the series of the workshops, and I really found them very interesting. That's why I still want to congratulate on you on continuing this great support. Sorry, can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really pleased to have the possibility to participate in these meetings, and I really find this topic one of the very important issues that is a great topic for consideration. And I'm also very pleased that Czech Development Agency as well as UNDP is highly involved in supporting protected areas of Georgia. We have continuous cooperation for many years with these organizations, and we feel really happy and excited for this partnership, because of course it will take too long if I will describe all the projects that have been implemented with mutual efforts. However, please believe me that the portfolio of these grant projects has been huge over the years. So I will try not to take too much time, so I will briefly introduce the system of protected areas. So let me share the presentation to you. Yes, I hope it works now. So today I will talk a little bit about the system of protected areas in Georgia, how it is managed, how it is developed, and what is the plans, how we are going to develop this sector in the closest years. As Ms. Jana has also mentioned, we are really happy that the system is developing quite well, and we are absolutely at the stage of good development, I would say. Let me present you the map of these protected areas. In total, we cover about 11.5% of the whole country, and with the green light, green color, you see the existing protected areas which exist now in Georgia. This is 94 protected areas in total of different categories. Mostly you will meet natural monuments in Georgia, as well as national parks, nature reserves, and so on. Some of them are open for visitation, like national parks, managed reserves, where hikers and just nature lovers can come and enjoy the beauty of our country, but still there are strict nature reserves which conserve the unique ecosystems that our country possesses, and it's our obligation to protect these ecosystems in a proper manner. So we try to execute kind of different researches for nature conservation and the proper management and protection of these ecosystems. And we are really happy that we do it in a correct way with the support of donor organizations and with the support of our partners. So how we do that is that we do that with the 21 territorial administrations. We have territorial administrations in the regions. So 21 territorial administrations are managing this 94 protected areas in total. So these administrations are located in the regions, and they are responsible for day-to-day management activities. What we do and what is incorporated in the duties of our scope of work is that first of all, we try to protect the important species that we meet at different areas of the country. Here we also have the natural resources, which is also very important to ensure that the usage and the consumption of natural resources is carried out in a sustainable manner. On the other hand, our organization, Agency of Protected Areas, ensures that the scientific research and monitoring is executed, and new researches are carried out in order to have proper and fundamental systems. On another hand, we focus on eco-education and ecotourism development for sure. We see ecotourism as a tool, eco-education as to raise and to teach them how they should have the nature
Tamar, you are breaking a little.
საერთოდ გაწყდა ჩემთან.
ჩემთანაც.
ტელეფონზე ხარ დაურეკეს ხო?
Let's give ourselves a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds or rather, and well, this happens. So we rely heavily on technology. So sometimes technology, even before the start of the meeting, it was giving us problems. I will let Tamar just a couple of more seconds if she can come back. And if not, I will ask Irakli to start his presentation. And then I will give floor back to Tamar when she joins us back. I think that should work fine. Before I hand over Irakli to you and probably to give time to Tamar to come back, I would like to ask our participants to post questions to the panelists and the presenters in the chat box. And we'll be happy to answer your questions or give time. So Tamar is coming back, yes. So give time.
Sorry, I apologize for this technical.
You're back.
Yeah.
You're back. Okay.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is associated with this online meeting. So crazy.
It's fine. It's fine.
Maybe continue the presentation where I stopped. So I tried to talk about the functions and duties of the organization. Also, I would like to tell that in parallel of all these activities, what we are undertaking, there's a lot of challenges that we try to overcome. Of course, it should be mentioned because nothing is perfect always, and there are some challenges which we are always discussing widely with other partners and our donor organizations, that there are facts which are associated with illegal activities at protected areas. And by the way, when I was talking about education, I mean exactly this, that we should rise up the new generation which will have a proper awareness that nature should be protected in a proper manner. So fire management is another challenge that we see at protected areas, especially during summertime when there is a hot period in some areas like Borjomi and like Khakhishvili, and also there's many picnic occasions when due to different human intervention, we have such cases at protected areas. What we can have and what we can enjoy at protected areas is various services that our visitors can enjoy. Of course, there's many opportunities to have picnic areas, to have different jeep tours and bike tours and diving opportunities. And visitors can enjoy bird watching, pontoon tours, cutter tours, rowboats, and so on and so on. You can enjoy many different kind of services. Of course, some of them can be found close to the capital, but still the Western East Georgia is very diverse. So I will not count all the services, but believe me, you will find all these very exciting and emotional, and also for those who like extreme, there's very nice places where they can go. I would like to touch with the statistics as well, because as you know, in the recent years, Agency of Protected Areas, with huge support of the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture, we have been working very hard in order to increase visitation at protected areas, to propose visitors the good nature and high quality services at protected areas. And as you see from the statistics, we created good trend of increase of visitation. From 2012, you see that there has been rapid growth of visitation, of course, and unfortunately 2020 was not so good year in terms of this, but also you will see that in comparison with the previous year, 2021 has been quite good in terms of visitation, and we almost achieved 60% of 2019 in terms of visitation, and we still hope that next year would be very productive in that terms. So from where we have international visitors, this is very diverse, of course, I should say, but you will see that Ukraine, Israel, Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan is in the top countries, but I would like to say that Georgian protected areas are becoming quite popular for other countries as well. We have lots of visitors from Switzerland as well as from USA, and we look forward that from next year's visitation from Asian countries like Korea and China will increase as well. On the other hand, I would like to also emphasize the support of donor organizations in this direction, because as you know, and this is not a news, that for governmental organizations, the budgetary funds are never enough, and we look forward to get more and more funds from different organizations as well as investors to finance different kind of projects at protected areas. In that terms, I'll be happy to note that Agency of Protected Areas is one of the agencies which is quite indulged in terms of donor support, and really we are happy with that. And many projects are ongoing at protected areas, and many donors try to mobilize funds for environmental protection. On terms of international recognition, I also would like to highlight that the issue that protected areas of Georgia is unique is not just what we are used to say. This is what international organizations used to highlight in their reports. Now we are extremely happy that already from this year, the Georgian protected areas, Georgian Colchic rainforests and wetlands has been united in the list of World Heritage of UNESCO, as well as we have other recognitions like European Diploma for Washlavani protected areas. Martvili Canyon has been named as the exemplary case for landscape restoration, and many others. Maybe I will not have too much time to describe all these achievements, but I'm really pleased to have this possibility to note that they are quite a lot. So I will not stop on this slide. There's the portfolio of the grant projects what we have here. Also would like to just stress that from next year, another big projects are standing, which we will start in the upcoming years. I also want to highlight the support from investors and private sector who are investing too much at protected areas and in the surrounding areas. Like this is the illustration of the market for Zalka Canyon, where with the support of private companies, we are investing, and we will have a huge ecotourism complex there. On another hand, you see different kind of infrastructural projects as well that you will meet at different protected areas. One news which I also would like to share with you is the product which we will launch from next year. This will be first mobile application about protected areas, so that visitors will have huge possibility to explore the nature of Georgia in their mobile applications, and they can use this for hiking as well. And just the last minute I will take to also present you our long-term vision of development. Of course, this is the priority of our ministry, that from until 2030, the network of protected areas will increase to up to 1 million hectares. So, and we would like to reach 17% of the country. So, which is a good achievement, I can say, in that direction. It means that we will increase the protected areas territorial administrations. It will be increased from 21 to 26. Also, the staff working in the system is going to be increased by that time, and will facilitate the biodiversity conservation activities, so that studies will be increased in that direction as well. So maybe I did not put all the slides here, but I can say that our ambition is that to reach about 5 million visitors until 2030, and we will add more services at protected areas, so that this will increase the financial sustainability of not only protected area system, but also for the people living adjacent to protected areas. So this was very shortly about the system. I tried to incorporate all this information, which is interesting, but of course, I'll be happy to share some more during the discussion panel. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Tamar. If any of the panelists or participants have any questions, please send them in the chat window, and Tamar will be able to answer at the end of the session. It's indeed a remarkable outline of overview of what the Georgian government plans to upscale in the coming years, which is indeed ambitious, and the focus on the awareness, as you mentioned, is important, as well as the participation of the communities and people in this process. I'm very happy that UNDP has been a big supporter of this work, and Irakli Goradze, who is representing UNDP at this forum, his background includes maritime economics and has extensive experience of working in the Georgian Marine Ecology Institute, which is super impressive, with multiple projects implemented on the Black Sea Environmental Program that Irakli has been part of. Since 2004, Irakli held positions at the government of Ajara Autonomous Republic as the first head of Environmental Directorate, and being responsible for regional environmental policy. In 2014, Irakli joined UNDP as a manager of GEF-funded the Ajara Protected Areas project, and currently he's the national coordinator of another UNDP GEF project on the financial sustainability of protected areas system in Georgia. So Irakli, over to you to give the glimpse of what UNDP's activities has been here, and you're free to present in English or Georgian as you find it relevant and comfortable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khatuna. Thank you for your introduction. I would like to thank you organizers for giving me this opportunity to tell you about the work that UNDP is doing in the fields of protected areas. I would also like to thank Tamar for her presentation of protected areas system, and I hope that this meeting will also help in generation some interest among Czech tourists. So their number is also growing in the protected areas in Georgia, and our colleagues should also helping us, our Czech colleagues. Anyway, as I already mentioned, considering the audience, the majority on the audience is Georgian, and also I hope that this presentation will be also viewed, well, after it's recorded, also by the Georgian audience. So I would like to make the presentation in Georgia. I will share the screen, and I hope it's visible now.
I'd like to greet you. I am Irakli Goradze. I am in UNDP since 2014. However, UNDP cooperates with the protected areas system from much earlier, 2009. Several projects have been implemented. The list is provided here by the projects which are implemented during this period. Basically, our donor was the Global Environmental Fund, but the EU also supported implementation of some projects. Everyone knows about a small grants program of Global Environment Fund. I have not provided this information hereby, but believe me, lots of such small scale projects are implemented. Now, I would like to discuss about one of the projects. This is improvement of management and expansion of protected areas. This project was under one of the components of cooperation with Czech government, and it was really important. And this component was really important for success of the whole project. We were focused on perfection of the management of Ajara protected areas. Main goal of the project was main focus was Machachela National Park, which was newly established by the time. So as soon as the park was established, our project immediately started in 20 and was being implemented in 2014, 2018. This is a map of Machachela Valley. You see that national park is around the valley, and which is quite densely populated, 9 villages, about 3,000 people. It's up to 12,000 hectares, the total area, and it has a really diverse cultural landscape. So we see from here as well that the goal of the project was not just improvement of protected areas, but also building capacity and improving life of the local population who lived there and whose place of residence appeared to be within the frameworks of national parks. So we decided to engage these people in sustainable development issues associated with this very location. Of course, the reaction of the local population was not that homogeneous when they heard about the national park, because in some cases they considered this as a kind of a limitation. In the beginning, the project worked in two directions, with a focus on local population, local community, and administration of protected area, which was also newly established and of course required development of capacities and improve building capacities. From point of view of administration, we started with the demarcation of the boundaries. It was very important process, and it was done in close cooperation with the local population, with its engagement. You see here in green the area which as a result of this demarcation was excluded from national park and was transferred to forestry, and this somehow changed the attitude of the population towards the project and towards protected area. They understood that their opinion was taken into the consideration. Also within the framework of the project, a forest management plan was developed. Rangers got a training, and visitors center and administration building was developed, and new administration was also provided with technical assistance, and on territory of national park, infrastructure of different types, including tourism infrastructure, was also developed as for of development of local community and cooperation with the park administration. So community meetings were arranged on regular basis in order to hear about main concerns of local people where the local community was engaged in planning of national park. I mentioned already demarcation, and which was a really successfully implemented. Also, local population was engaged in development of a national management plan. With our support, Friends Association was established, which with our support implemented several projects with participation of local children, local schools. My main goal was to somehow present the value of protected areas, in particular in this case, Majahela Park. We also arranged information tours for representatives of a local population, and this, of course, significantly changed their opinion and vision of national park. We developed the plan for a local development of local community, identifying their key priorities and challenges, of course, existing from a point of view of local development. We implemented several activities which facilitated local production of honey or nuts, and we also worked on small projects for improvement of village rural infrastructure. Waste management was an issue, and a special vehicle was procured to provide services to the valley, and of course population participated in all these processes. Very important direction facilitated by the project is tourism development. We implemented several projects which have promoted development of attractive tourism sites. Also, very interesting direction was wine production, which was traditional for the valley, and I also mentioned that several tourism pathways were arranged. We also supported conducting a local festival. Also, we promoted sales of local products, and we did our best to present natural value of the places, particular places. We also discussed opportunities for implementing innovations. We discussed problems of local population. For example, identifying alternatives for wood. We tested for heating nutshells, biomass, solar and solar heaters, insulation methods, and so today the use and consumption of these alternatives really support the promotion of using these alternatives saves wood products, and local municipalities also developed assistance programs which also facilitate reduction of wood consumption. A second important problem which is also associated with protected area. So hunting is prohibited in this territory, and this of course supports development of wildlife, and we also established electronic fencing program, which is also very successful and very important. So the development of protected areas was followed by a really successful and successful activities which brought benefit to the whole population, and attitude of locals is fully changed. And also River Majachela is also very important natural element, but it is not within the in the composition of national park, and there is a need now. There is a need for the social for harmonious continuation of development of national park and social economic development of a local population. And you know, these needs somehow identified some needs for improvement of management schemes in order to ensure satisfaction of above mentioned needs. We still went back to local population, tried to study their opinion and identify the needs, and we found out that the establishment of protected landscape where in the area where people live. So later we'll hear more detailed presentation about this landscape, but I just want to highlight this initiative that locals also supported the inclusion of the whole gorge in the frameworks, so within the frameworks of protected area. And for this purpose, we used a really flexible and good mechanism for cooperation, which is already in operation between UNDP and Czech, which implements Czech UNDP cooperation mechanism, which is directed to, which aims at the solution of particular problems based on Czech experience. We developed the project, and this the new project was developed, which was ongoing for about 1 year, and aimed at the implementation of different activities for development of protected landscapes. Main idea was cooperation with local population, with respective agencies. Protected landscapes are managed by local municipalities, not by the protected areas agency. Therefore, where our main focus was on local municipalities, with the help of Czech experts presented here, we elaborated management document, we prepared zoning document, and we also finalized the draft law on protected areas. You know that Ajara Council has in right for initiation and with engagement of a High Council of Ajara. We initiated the law on all these processes, were engaged representatives of a local population and head of the council. We visited together Czech Republic to see locally the experience. Maybe you know that yesterday High Council submitted initiative to the Parliament with establishment for initiative for establishment of protected Khakhishvili National Park as a protected area. This is the first important step in this direction, which is related to establishment of new landscape, new protected area. So the first step, this initiation step, is already made, and I believe that the end will be really successful. I want to extend my deep gratitude to all colleagues who were engaged in these processes. I also want to say a couple of words about our ongoing cooperation. Now I am national coordinator of financial strengthening project, and of course a project covers lots of activities, and one of our target protected areas is Tusheti protected landscape. And I'm really happy that with this project we managed to support protected areas as well. Tusheti protected landscape is one of the first where government of Georgia and Czech partners work together, and we are providing support to this. We're providing support in this regard, and of course with engagement of Czech experts. 2 days ago, we started a new partnership with and aiming at preparation of new manual, new and Mikhail will speak about this in more details. But this is a very important issue because number of and volumes of protected landscapes is being increased in the country. However, there is no legal arrangement. There are no legal arrangements for their official establishment, and we believe that thanks to all these initiatives I mentioned, this process will be successfully developed. Thank you.
It was a really interesting overview of the activities with the optimistic note of the initiation of the legislative activities for the establishment of the protected landscape in Khakhishvili. I love the focus on not only on the communities, but also working with the local administrations. And the synergy of this really is what brings about change, and both in perception and the active steps. So I'm very happy, and thank you for the overview of the Czech UNDP Partnership in the recent years, Irakli. On this note, I'm glad to present our Czech expert, Michael Hošek, who is, I think, a long-time partner of Georgia in this area. He's a co-owner and executive of the Integra Group, where he coordinates projects related to biodiversity conservation and capacity development in the EU, and is a candidate in associated countries. Before, Mikhail worked at the Ministry of Environment of the Czech Republic as a Director General for the National Conservation, and in between 2002 and 2013, he worked with the Czech Nature Conservation Agency. Since 2005 as a director Head of Division of Nature and Landscape Monitoring and Documentation at the Czech Nature Conservation Agency. He has been serving as a president of the EUROPARC Federation since October 2021, and were the council member of International Union for Conservation of Nature between 2012 and 2021. Michael, the floor is yours. I'm happy to have you on board and looking forward to your presentation on the specificities of protected landscapes in the Georgian context.
Khatuna, thank you very much for the introduction. Can you hear me clearly? Yes. It's pity, and let me apologize. Although I've been working in Georgia since 2012, I still don't speak your language, your very nice language. So I will speak in English. I will try to be slower because usually I speak quite fast, so not to make any troubles to the interpreter. So let me share the screen and continue with quite specific issue, which is protected landscape. I'm focused on this because of two reasons. One is because Czech experts are focused on that issue in a long term. I mean, the Czech experts on biodiversity conservation, and also because I see protected landscape as an opportunity and also a recent gap in the system of protected areas in Georgia. So this is the content of my presentation and issues that I will touch. So I will talk about protected landscape as a category at the global and regional level, I mean the European one. I would like to mention that besides of being Czech expert, I'm also privileged to be a president of the EUROPARC Federation, and Tamar had in her presentation that the APA, the Agency of Protected Areas, is a member of the EUROPARC, which gives me an opportunity to speak a bit from the European level, not just from the Czech expertise level. And it also shows that the Czech experts are quite interlinked with at least the European Union and nature conservation. So we are not bringing to Georgia just the Czech experience, but the European one. And then I will be focused on protected landscape. And I would like to especially compare national parks and protected landscapes as categories, because those are two large scale only categories in Georgia. And then I would like to speak at the end about challenges when we talk about protected landscapes. This is just a list of activities that we are holding as experts, Czech experts in nature conservation in Georgia, under various support and bodies. So some are under the Czech Development Cooperation, some are supported by the UNDP. There is even one project that was held in 2014-2015 on EU. It was the EU Twinning project supported by the European Commission on transposition and implementation of nature conservation system that is described in the association agreement between Georgia and European Union. And the last activity that was mentioned by Irakli is this UNDP short-term project on protected landscapes as a system, or the designation system and preparation of documentation system. Now let me shortly speak about protected landscape. What does it mean? What are the criteria at the global and regional level? In short, this is a mixture of not only nature, but also culture, heritage, and scenic value of landscapes. And the main objective is not only the nature conservation, but also other values created by interactions with humans through traditional management practices. This is something that is copied from the IUCN categorization, and this is also fully transposed, as you can read it here, in your law on protected areas, which is quite advantageous. Yes?
Michal, I think I only see the first slide. Is it only for me or others as well?
So this is a problem, but then I don't know what to do with this. I will try to...
Michael, try to stop share and share your screen again.
Now it changed.
I will try
now
it again.
It was fine.
It was fine. So sorry. Yeah. I will try to...
Now we can see.
Yeah, okay, but I will try to share the whole screen, and please tell me.
Okay, please. Yeah.
Do you see the list now?
Oh, I see the list, but it is not full screen. It is still a slide.
So the problem is somewhere in my laptop, but I cannot change it. So
it's okay. The technology has been uncooperative today, but we will cooperate. So no
I will present it as it is now.
Yes, please.
Okay, and then I will continue. So apologies for those problems. Protected landscapes in Europe. I would like to highlight that the IUCN categories, as also transposed in the Georgian legislation, is just a technical recognition system. This is something that is not a must or the legal obligation. And that you transposed that in Georgia, it is both advantage and disadvantage, and I will touch that issue later on. So the countries are free to develop systems that are fitting their country conditions. Let me give you 3 examples. On the left side, you can see my home national park, which is Krkonoše National Park, one of the most natural places in the Czech Republic. But although this is the national park in Czechia, based on the national legislation, this is category 5 protected landscape at the international level, because there are quite large areas with meadows, with management dependent habitats. The same is in the center, where you can see Burren National Park in Ireland. Internationally, again, this is the protected landscape. And on the left side down, you can see Cinque Terre National Park. Although you can find a lot of natural places in Italy, this one, which is also the national park, is in fact a total vineyard. 85% of the national park is the traditional vineyard on the seashore of the Mediterranean Sea. So what I would like to show is that, of course, you follow the IUCN categorization system, but this is just your decision. This is nothing that you need to do. This is just that you decided so. And protected landscapes, this is quite specific category as used in European countries, because those are designated through many categories, tens of them. In some countries, they are called nature parks. Sometimes it's used biosphere reserve, that is also complementary to the international category of biosphere reserves. For example, in Germany, all protected landscapes are biosphere reserves based on their legislation, also protected landscape areas, etc. What I see as an advantage in Georgia is that you have a clear borderline between the national park and protected landscape as categories. So the national park is something that is quite natural, and you are trying to avoid any human activities inside, while the protected landscape is something that covers those cultural and traditional values, including local settlements and communities. So in that sense, it's a bit complicated, or more complicated to manage it, but it makes a sense to have it as a part of the network of protected areas. So protected landscapes in Georgia. As I said, you interpret protected landscapes fully as category 5 of the IUCN, so the mixture of biodiversity and cultural heritage. But what I have to say openly is that the law that you use, that serves well, I mean the law on the protected areas, that serves well for the designation of predominantly natural areas like national parks or strict nature reserves. But it's a bit harder to interpret it for the purpose of protected landscapes, or there is quite a lack of experience to do it for such a purpose. The reason why is also, I think it was also in the Tamar's presentation, you were focused mainly during the past on national parks, but you just started a few years ago, or maybe a little bit earlier, but so far you have just 3 protected landscapes. Although the opportunity or the space for it in Georgia is much wider. So, and this is the last bullet point. The wilderness is well protected in your national area, in your protected areas network, while the protected landscapes, they are waiting for their time. So if you compare national parks and protected landscapes, you have much more national parks. This is clear. What I think is quite important that you as Georgia will be focused much more on protected landscapes now. This is also a typical situation in European countries that the network, what is important to mention is that the national park as a category is not the highest value. All categories, including monuments, protected landscapes, nature reserves, etc., they are at the same level. And the network of protected areas should be complemented or should be composed of all those categories. So you should have all inside. Now, there is a bit disbalance because you have more wilderness places inside, but you have the lack of cultural heritage that is connected to the nature in. So this is quite a disbalance. And in that sense, protected landscape as a category is an opportunity for the future, but not only from the technical or expert point of view, but also because it allows you to decentralize competencies or power in the nature conservation, because the protected landscape is managed or administered by local municipalities. And in that sense, this is much closer to local communities, which have, and those communities then have a power to say something about how to use traditionally or sustainably the natural resources in their areas. So the national park versus protected landscape. Let me compare the situation in Georgia as I see it as a Czech expert. The national parks, they are well managed now because they are all under the APA. So there is a long-term experience, quite well settled system of management with quite a high number of rangers. About protected landscapes at this level, there is still a significant lack of understanding, and that's why the UNDP is holding this new short-term project on development of united criteria for protected landscapes, how to designate them and how to manage them. When it comes to competencies, there is no problem about national parks, again, because there is the agency, but there is quite unclear guide on designation and definition, as I said, which is also visible if you compare, for example, Tušety or Irakli, that is the brand new protected landscape, because competencies are different. While Tušety is responsible for their forests, while in Irakli, the forestry is still under the National Forestry Agency, and in Majachela there will be a transition period for this. So this is not united. When we talk about staff, there is quite sufficient staff in the national park, I have to say, while there is totally underestimated capacity needed for protected landscapes. But in both cases, and I have to say that what I saw in the Tamar's presentation, I really appreciate about tourism development, especially the sustainable tourism development. But in my view, in the whole network of protected areas in Georgia, still tourism is something like unutilized opportunity. And it could be developed a bit more or faster. And this is not just about the quantity, like how many visitors we have. This is mainly about the quality. I think even in many areas now, we have a problem with a lot of visitors, and the best would be to somehow manage the number, to make it lower and to offer better services for a lower number of visitors, both international ones and locals. But what is the big difference between the national park and protected landscape? And this is connected to the staff. While the national park is mainly the natural area, and there is quite limited infrastructure, also tourist trail infrastructure, protected landscape is heavily really affected by settlements, road infrastructure, tourists, etc. Everything what is happening, all beds that are happening mainly in protected landscapes. Those are something like a combination of nature and cultural heritage with a buffer zone, but everybody who is going to national park, for example, in case of Tušety, here must go through the protected landscape. So there must be a capacity to manage it and to treat all those impacts in a sustainable way. Here is few examples. Everybody knows Heselo and Upper Omalo, so Zeme Omalo, and here this is the picture from this year. Waste treatment, this is a big problem. This is not a problem for the APA. Yeah, Katuna? I cannot hear you.
Yeah, we couldn't see the picture. Now we can. It took.
We can, yeah. So there is a delay. So here you compare what is the responsibility of the national park and how many people work at the national park and how many people work in the protected landscape. And if you have just 7 or maybe 10 people, and Lado Kachoidze is with us as the head of the Tušety, maybe this is also a disbalance. Maybe we need more people for protected landscapes because they are really having troubles to manage their areas and overload of people and tourists, etc. The same about road infrastructure. I think in some cases, this is really the advantage that you have a limited access to national parks or strict nature reserves or to areas. Here, this is the picture from the Ambano Pass. This is not a part of the protected landscape, neither protected landscape nor the national park, but you see that there are motorbikes going to the area. So the accessibility is not in all cases positive. And we need also to think about the road infrastructure and how to limit the access appropriately. This is just an example what we tried to do. I think it is 4 years ago in a cooperation with the NGO SEN. We tried to introduce the voluntarily based entrance fee to Tušety. It was successful for 1 year. Unfortunately, that time Protected Landscape Administration didn't continue. But we see this as a big opportunity. It's almost sure that you will be able to earn enough money from that system and also to manage better the flow of tourists. So this is one of tools that you can use, and we can discuss this later. And this is not just a case of Tušety. I think you can use it in many other areas in Georgia. Also to somehow diversify incomes going to protected areas in Georgia. So far, this is mainly caves making that, but I think also this entrance fee in other places is appropriate approach. So recent challenges, in my view, to conclude and then to open the discussion about it. In my view, I think the law on protected areas should be amended and also to better interpret it for the purpose of protected landscapes and the cultural value that you should somehow more introduce into the network of national protected areas. Of course, there is a need to ensure united strategic and technical support for protected landscapes designation and management, as we talked about it also with Irakli. And also, and I think this is a quite urgent task to start as soon as possible with selection of suitable areas for protected landscapes. But as I talked with Carlo Amergulashvili, there is a list, at least at the Ministry of the Environment. And also to start not only with the designation, but also with training of respective municipalities, how to manage later or administrate later those protected areas. So in order to have capacities well in advance, not to do it after the designation of those areas. So I'm running out of time. So let me thank you for your attention and to give a floor back to you.
Thank you so very much. It was really very interesting presentation, and thank you for starting with the kind of larger concepts and then going down into what are the current challenges, which gives a very good segue to the panel discussion. Capacity in terms of the tourism, in terms of focusing on the quality of the tourist service provision and what needs to be done in this case, accessibility, like proximity of roads and what can be done about this, and also diversification of the income sources. And interesting example together with Sam that you presented. Irakli also mentioned the issue with legislation for the need for the amendment of the current law to encompass the interests and specifics of the protected landscapes, and most importantly, the capacity building of the local municipalities in the light of decentralized approach to managing the protected landscapes. So, so with this overview, I'm very, very happy to present the panel, which we managed to bring together. I will introduce all the panelists together and then give floor to you one by one, so that we can have a brief discussion about what are the current opportunities, challenges with regards to protected landscapes in Georgia, as well as the access to financing and specifically development tourism. So I'm very happy that again from the Czech side we have Mr. Goradze, who is also a project coordinator of wide range of projects in the Georgian protected areas funded by the Czech Development Agency, like Irakli Development Program, support for sustainable tourism as means of development of mountain regions in Georgia, focusing on sharing the Czech know-how, enhancement of tourism potential of mountainous regions in Georgia as means of their development, and designing 5 mountain hiking routes in Shavi, Udamari, Khakhishvili. Wojtek is also a chairman of the board of IPANI, Association for Environmental Care, and he's also engaged in the research on ethnodemography and culture of South Caucasus region and Georgian rural communities. So the second panelist that I would like to introduce is Mr. Lado Goradze, who is heading Tusheti Protected Landscape, an ecologist by background, by profession, and he's been actively engaged in the public sector work, mainly in the region of Akhmeda, and he also serves not only Director of Protected Landscape of Tusheti, but also is a member of the Local Action Group Executive Board. I'm also very happy to present Mr. Goradze with a diverse background and experience of over 15 years in the field of environment protection, socioeconomic development, covering South Caucasus countries as a program manager. And he has managed over 40 international projects related to water, land, air, forest, and mineral resources management, and supervised as one of the authors of Georgia. Gacha contributed to the National Forest Policy concept adopted by the Parliament of Georgia in 2014. And he is also the member of International Union for Conservation of Nature from 2015. And also in development. So, happy to have our lady in the panel, as country director of Caucasus Nature Fund. Prior to joining CNF in 2012, Tia worked in a number of organizations in Georgia for over 15 years as well. Most recently, 6 years at Georgia's National Park Service in the Agency of Protected Areas as head of planning division. Also comes with a background in biology by education. So all of you, thank you very much for joining the panel today and for your time and patience waiting for your time during this call. I will start with Wojtek because we just discussed tourism, and perhaps you could continue Mikhail's points regarding the tourism and reflect on where do you see the opportunities, and maybe add a couple of words about challenges as well in this direction. Over to you, Wojtek.
So I will try to speak in Georgian because it will be more convenient, as it should be kind of discussion. At
the first place, I would like to start by talking about challenges. Mikhail highlighted that it's the situation is not that easy because we have to take care more for protected areas. As you know, this situation is not that balanced because we need still to take care a lot for these protected areas, national parks, and we do not have sufficient resources. We have 26 administrations, and it's functionally clear. why Georgia tries to strengthen this institute, to uphold and strengthen this institute. Of course, that there are some limitations which are basically caused by lack of resources. On what I would like to be focused. We want to view all this as a challenge, as a problem. So protected landscape covers all the whole part where infrastructure, population, settlements are gathered, but we also can observe this as a capacity, as an opportunity for adding other resources. So this main point of our projects in Tusheti and Pshavkhev-Sureti is namely this. Lado will speak also about these projects, will provide details. We were very happy when we listened to Mikhail. How can old Diklo be developed? I also might say a couple of words about the approaches. What is the approach, for example, in Aragvi protected landscape, where key element is a forestry project, which aims at in cooperation with the National Forest Agency to develop one entire site where will be implemented so there where the wood will be sold. Also the wood will be processed, new interesting directions will be identified. For example, coal production, biomass processing. So namely, this could be an option for this for ensuring sustainability of this administration and add some possibilities. So as the additional possibility here is that this is close to settlement. Maybe it requires more care, so being in neighborhood, but also this gives opportunity to provide better services to local population. We quite well know that in nearest future, Georgia will not have opportunity to cover fully functioning of to cover all functioning costs of all administrations, because resources are pretty limited. Therefore, our main goal in these projects is to be focused on these issues, to somehow ensure kind of an improvement. We do our best to link somehow our projects which were implemented previously to this project, for example, tourism paths, and next year the first big route will be marked, which will connect Tusheti, the Stolohi Valley, with Pshavi. There was kind of a dead end, and development was somehow stopped, and we do our best to make these passes more open and somehow cross cutting, because otherwise they will appear to be less attractive. So we are doing our best to improve routes, to make them more attractive, to give more function, and give more and better chances to population living there. So that's basically from my side. Wojtek, Thank you very much. Since we are talking about Tusheti, let's give floor to Lado. What would you like to say in this situation regarding in terms of positive development and administration? Where do you see challenges? I would like to greet you once more. Thank you so much for inviting me. I believe you hear me. Yeah. You know, whole Tusheti is a protected area and national park, protected area, protected landscape. So what does protected landscape mean? In Tusheti, for example, we have a traditional lifestyle, we have endemic species, we have Tushetian language, we have unique cultural heritage, which is candidate, which they say it's our candidates for UNESCO. We have myth, we have folk, we have a very high potential for development. Namely, that's why this protected landscape was developed for harmonious development of these sites and people. And of course, administration of protected landscape has very serious responsibilities in this regard. We have the 13 villages which are monuments for cultural heritage. Yeah, and in administration, we are 17 people. We have 6 rangers, and namely with the help of these rangers, we ensure administration of Tusheti protected landscape. We need to implement special measures, and the achievement is in administration that this wood, for example, is administered with the help of Czech partners, because Czech partners have provided us with a special forest tractor which provides services to local population. During last 3 years, 300 cubic meters of wood were produced. This year, 250 is prepared, and partially is used for tourism development, also for construction, and also is provided as wood timber. We have to local population. We have also erosion spots. For example, in village Charboseli, the villagers try to combat erosion, and we are ensuring fencing in Jarbostani to ensure protection from cattle, for example. We have 4 villages where there is no motorway at all. We have other challenges as well. We depend on municipal subsidies, and we also have some small income from our economic activities from, for example, wood production. We got some income thanks to GIZ. We have small sewing facility, and we have also, we are provided, as I have already mentioned, with forest tractor as well, namely with the help of Czechs. We plan to work on new management plan. CNF is also engaged, of course, and we also have refrigerating farm economies, and for the next year we think together with our Czech partners if there is such opportunity to develop slaughterhouse, which will give us opportunity to ensure slaughtering of cattle into Shetty and then storing in this refrigeration system, and then supply some hotels, some guest houses available into Shetty. To tourism, despite of a pandemic, is being increasing in Shetty. We need also some arrangements in terms of administration and management of camping places. Mikhail also showed some slides related to waste management is also the result of increased tourism. For example, in Omalo, we need improvement of infrastructure. For example, if we have this fridging system, then these fridges could be, refrigerators could be rented, and this will be additional income. We have so small budget that compared with other national parks and other regions. I don't want to talk about this, and with the help of foreign donors, international assistance, so we want to become stronger, to have own income. I have already listed so many challenges, problems, pains, for example, associated with the grazeland, with pastures, and so administration also has problems, does not have respective people, and to ensure implementation of activities. Thank you very much for a very interesting overview. So the problems which you mentioned, I will continue in English.
Practically reflect the previous comments regarding the capacities as well as the access to financial resources and the need for diversification of the access to finance. And this is same in Shetty. It refers both to development of the local communities as well as the tourism development. I would move to Acha now to ask him how does that differ in case of Irakli? How do you compare these situations, and where do you see the opportunities or challenges if they're in any way different? Over to you, Kacha.
Thank you very much, Khatuna.
Thank you very much for inviting to this meeting. I want to extend my deep gratitude to all speakers. I also want to talk about development of protected landscapes in Georgia. I have some interesting information in this regard. At the first place, I would like to highlight that in the forest department is established a new service. This is policy, protected areas policy office, and with its support development of protected areas will be continued. So this is a unit managed by local self-government. Consequently, this is quite it was quite, so prior to establishment of protected areas, the very complex process was ongoing. We worked a lot on establishment and strengthening our protected areas. You know, they when in 2018, so the law came in on protected landscapes came into force in 2021. We worked very actively, cooperated very actively with the Ministry of Environment, and since April we started the operation of administration of protected landscape was started. So the area of protected area is protected landscape is hectares, and the so volume of Tusheti protected area is 30,000 hectares, 35,000 hectares. So Aragui is 3 times big. Landscape is around 100,000 hectares, and population size is 3 times less than in Tusheti. I also want to say a couple of words about funding, since we talked about sustainability. Taco mentioned the system of protected areas and the system of the agency of protected areas. However, this is not part of protected areas, the agency's territory legally, but the budget is funded by the agency from the budget of the agency in form of transfers. And this is also a very serious problem for Aragui protected landscape, because the municipality does not have money to maintain this protected landscape. Then administration has to work and cooperate, communicate with municipality, then agency. Agency is rather focused on strengthening administration under its jurisdiction, and Aragui is not under its jurisdiction, and so pays less attention. So we are very slowly moving forward towards strengthening financial capacities, but we of course need engagement and support by the state. I would like to highlight the role of Czech Development Agency. With the financial support of the agency, several projects are ongoing in this area: strengthening of landscape, the socio-economic development of local population. Third project works on forestry component. Out of these 100,000 hectares, about 30,000 is forests, and these forests are managed by National Forest Agency. But the situation is that these forests belong to protected areas, protected landscapes, but are managed by Forestry Agency, which does not have respective technical and human resources for management of forests on territory of protected landscape. So we're promised that pretty soon these forests will be passed to Aragui protected landscape, and but it's not finalized yet. We need respective equipment, we need respective infrastructure, and as Lado mentioned, pretty soon this infrastructure might help administrate financial strengthening of Aragui protected landscape administration, because there are some other possibilities. Pastures, for example, which occupy pretty big territory, and then the pastures are also in ownership of the state, but private persons rent this without agreement, without registration, and use this for own purposes. So when we think about financial strengthening, one of the points is the use of financial resources. So these pastures are also pretty good value, and I think that our administration should participate in management of pastures, and because this will improve our administration's financial capacity and ensure better management of pastures. I want to say a couple of words about tourism. And I also want to highlight that in contrast to Tusheti, difference from Tusheti, there are many entries to this territory, and I think it will be more difficult to organize payment for entries and this entry payment. So we need to study this, and particular views should be identified. I understand that my time is off. Kaha, thank you. Thank you very much. We are behind the time agenda. By all means, we need to give floor to Thea, because it is very important to present the organization, what possibilities and functions it has, and so what are the opportunities given to protected landscapes? Thea, please.
Good evening. First of all, thanks for inviting Caucasus Nature Fund as a panelist. Let me briefly tell you who we are, what we do, and how we do. Caucasus Nature Fund was established in 2007 under the German legislation. So we are kind of founded by the German government and by BMZ, which is Bundesministry for Economic Development and Cooperation, by KfW, WWF Germany, and Conservation International. Our mission is to support people conserving nature. So Caucasus Nature Fund, conserving nature, and everybody thinks it's all about nature only, but no, it's actually about primarily people working on the ground. So we are here to support people to improve their working conditions by supporting operational needs of individual protected areas. We started operation in Georgia in 2009, but kind of startup time for us is 2010, when we started working in Georgia, working on a programmatic basis. You see the map, which I'm sharing. We are supporting 11 out of 21 protected areas administrations, but 11 biggest protected areas. You see red circle around Tusheti protected landscape. We are supporting Tusheti protected landscape, but with quite limited efforts because we still could not finalize and formalize working with them. However, we contributed along with GIZ and Zuko Foundation for the activities conducted to study and to establish biosphere reserve in Georgia, specifically in Kakheti, where Vashlovani and Tusheti are considered as core areas. Moreover, we are working with them through the Czech UNDP project, as Irakli Goradze mentioned. It is about technical support, but we are ready to expand our presence in Tusheti protected landscapes soon. Let me tell you later on more in details. So how we work, those are little numbers. We started gradually. We started financing Borjo-Mihara National Park. It was our first park. How we choose parks. So we say that eco-regional conservation plan is kind of Bible for us as for Conservation Trust Fund. We know that this is not legalized, it's not approved. However, we always refer to that. So, and then you see on the table that we gradually increased our presence and support. By now, we are supporting 11 protected areas under the Agency of Protected Areas, and we are supporting Tusheti Protected Landscape. So out of available 25, including Irakli and Truso protected landscapes, who also have potential to be covered by CNF. So one of our first projects for Borjomi-Haragauli National Park, this is where we started from, was emergency support after 2008 conflict with Russia. We provided firefighting equipment together with USAID. More numbers and figures, how we went where we are. From hectare coverage, you see we are supporting more than 500,000 hectares. From percentage perspectives, we are supporting up to 65% of existing protected areas, which Taco mentioned. Those are figures.
In the time of, yes.
Figures?
In the
sorry.
Yeah, in the interest of time, since we are very short in time, and I apologize for that, can you please specify what are the specific services that you offer to the protected landscapes?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right now, we are offering more technical support, which is, for example, study about alternative income generation opportunities, also helping and contributing in updating of their management plan, as was already mentioned. But we have also more practical tourism-related project, which I'm happy to share more details. This is, if you allow me to share screen, this is about doing infrastructure in Gomedzari Valley. Okay, so this is very interesting project because it's one of the best examples of collaboration of different actors. For example, design of this project was done under Czech UNDP project. However, purchase of construction materials happened with the support of USAID's VDA project, and CNF is financing or co-financing implementation of the project, which has been successfully launched. Hopefully we will all enjoy with this project next year as soon as tourism season comes. But we would like to do more. When I'm saying we're unable to formalize our cooperation, is that our attempt was to start co-financing operational needs of Tusheti Protected Landscape Administration. We did good job despite of COVID, despite of Zaza. Lado was very much involved, motivated and supportive. We did all technical steps. However, the submission of the grant agreement, which enables us to start co-financing Tusheti Protected Landscape Administration operational needs, it's stuck somewhere in between different ministries. It's really topic about delegation of authority. So we hope that this problem will be soon solved beginning next year, and our presence will be really expanded. This model project is not only about setting some standards in terms of sustainable tourism, where many actors contributed in. How it's also about trying to think and to apply new kind of management approach, which is community-based management. With this project, if it's successfully implemented, to Czech protected landscape municipality, as well as local communities, if they take over management responsibilities, will be able to get alternative income sources from tourism revenues and from visitors.
Thank you so very
Thank you.
much, Thea. As I understand, in terms of the financial sustainability, there is a co-financing mechanism that can be accessed by the protected landscapes, and it can materialize in the future. And from your and technical expertise and assistance is provided to protected landscapes as well. Since we are awfully over time, I'm thanking Jonas for conducting a Q&A in chat format. And very quickly,
unfortunately,
Jonas, if you could very quickly recap, yeah, if you can very
only in
quickly
the chat
recap
format.
what the Q&A was about. Yeah,
because we are a little bit under the time pressure and we don't want to keep you longer than possible. So I can just say that we are very happy that we have chance to facilitate at least this brief discussion in the chat window. I would also like to say that we really very much appreciate your time in this super busy year-end period. We value your participation 2 times more than normally. And maybe I would also like to say that for the next year, we are planning with Khatuna implementation of several upgrades. We plan to make Research for Policy online series of roundtables more action-oriented, more forward-looking, more result-oriented. And I feel a bit awkward to steal your time furthermore. So I will give word back to Khatuna, and I wish you Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Jonas. So thank you for an interesting conversation, for the challenges that have been mentioned. I'm sure that with joint efforts, they can be overcome. I want to thank Jana for your time and thank our interpreter, Nino Kabunia, who's been working with us today. And wish you a wonderful weekend and all the successes. And we remain at your disposal to showcase any future successes that you would like to showcase in this format. So wishing you forthcoming Merry Christmas.
If you want to go through the roundtable, please go to our YouTube channel. And thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for this meeting.
Thank you.
It was interesting for me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.